experiences with honking sounds?
Anytime I heard a honk of a horn, and particularly of a large vehicle horn, I could feel it sort of ripple through my body, and I would feel that my nerves were still frayed.
In the immediate days and weeks after the end of the demonstrations, what was your experiences with horns?
Very much like that, I kept hearing them like phantom horns. I kept hearing them in my head. I also had phantom smells too.
And by phantom smells or horns, I mean they're not there, but that's what
they're not. Yeah. They're not there.
Can you just confirm approximately how long have you been living in downtown Ottawa?
30 years.
And have you experienced or observed other protests or demonstrations in downtown Ottawa?
I've observed other protests in downtown Ottawa, but closer to Parliament Hill. They did not come to where I was living. Never.
Thank you. You told us, Ms. Delarond, about being concerned about wearing headphones or earplugs, about knocks on your door, about smoke alarm, or maybe not hearing smoke alarms. Why did you have that particular concern?
I was concerned because there was this smell, and I was informed as well about gas spills on the street, that there was open bonfires, that they were roasting food out a few meters from my building. So there was such a potential for a fire, a huge fire, and an explosion. So I was concerned that if I could actually get those earplugs to work, then I wouldn't hear if my smoke alarm went off or if people were pounding on my door to say, evacuate, evacuate.
And Ms. Delarond, you told us a bit about the diesel fumes. Was that diesel fumes that you would just smell outside on the street, or did you smell them in your apartment?
It was very strong in my apartment. It permeated drapes, blinds, bedding, carpet. It had the whole unit had a dull, gaseous odor about it.
Did you do anything about that after the protests were over?
Yes, I got eventually worked toward getting them cleaned, all of them.
Ms. Delarond, you told us a bit about the honking and how you experienced that. After the protests were over, about experiences with honking sounds.
Anytime I heard a honk of a horn, and particularly of a large vehicle horn, I could feel it sort of ripple through my body, and I would feel that my nerves were still frayed.
In the immediate days and weeks after the end of the demonstrations, what was your experiences with horns?
Very much like that I kept hearing them like phantom horns. I kept hearing them in my head. I also had phantom smells too.
And by phantom smells or horns, I mean they're not there, but that's what
they're not. Yeah. They're not there.
Thank you, Ms. Delarond. Ms. Lee, I just have a few questions for you. There were some questions put to you about Councillor McKenney and a member of Provincial Parliament, Mr. Hardin. Had you ever had any interactions with them or met them prior to the class action being commenced?
No, I had not. Perhaps in passing on the street, but nothing, they didn't know who I was.
And there were some questions put to you about the injunction and what impact it had on the horns. On the day of the injunction argument of Monday, February the 7th, were you observing that hearing?
Yes, I was.
And were you observing or listening to anything else before or after that injunction hearing?
After, I did observe a Facebook Live video from one of the organizers who had ordered the truckers in general to stop the horns due to the injunction being put in place.
So what exactly, you were watching something online? What was
Yes, it was a Facebook Live video, I believe, from Chris Barber, if I'm not mistaken, though I can't be sure as to which organizer specifically it was, but they had been laughing about our lack of sleep and something about giving us a break from all the noise.
What did that live stream person, what did they say about the injunction? Do you recall?
They had said that I remember they were saying like, stop the horns, stop the noise.
And did you hear any, did you notice or observe any connection with that statement on the live stream video and what was going on outside?
Yes, shortly after the video, the horns had subsided, and it was like just sort of thinking back to it, it's hard to not be a little dramatic, but it really was like, it was like this respite that had came, and it was significant, the silence that was present for some time.
You were following or observing some of the social media of some of the protest organizers?
Yes.
After the injunction was obtained, you told us about listening to a social media stream on that date. Did you hear or observe any other social media streams by Convoy organizers speaking about the injunction after February the 7th?
Yes, I do recall after the first video. I don't recall exactly when this occurred, but the first video, I believe that the organizer had believed that it's hard to say because there was a lot of just words being spilled, but there was something about that we, not necessarily myself or the lawyers involved, or it was a general reference, I think, to like the city or the government or just the opposition, really, that they were going to give in to some demands, but after some time had passed, they had realized that no demands were being given, and to I don't remember the exact words, but there was a call to action to just let her rip.
And let what rip?
The horns.
And after observing that, did you notice any difference in the horns out on the street?
Yes, I did notice that there were some, I remember very distinctly, there were some confused horns, because really it sounds sort of crazy to attribute these kinds of descriptions to horns, but whereas before they were sure, I think, and resounding, these were confused, almost as if, do I do it? Do I not do it? Do I do it? Do I not do it? There was a little bit more hesitation in the honking.
And Ms. Lee, just a final couple questions. When you talked about measuring the decibel levels, where were you measuring that? Was that on the street or was it in your home?
I had measured in reference to the decibel levels I had described, it was inside of my home.